How did my life turn into Fight Club? It started 3 months ago when I began waking up with bruises I couldn't explain. Small ones at first, on my knuckles and ribs, the kind you might get from bumping into furniture or playing sports too hard. I work in IT support at a small insurance company, spend most of my day sitting at a desk fixing computer problems and answering help desk tickets, so I figured maybe I was just being clumsy or sleeping in weird positions. But then the bruises got bigger and more frequent. Purple marks across my back that looked like someone had hit me with a baseball bat. Split lip that I had to explain to my boss Randy as a bike accident. Swollen black eye that took 2 weeks to heal completely. The weird part wasn't just the physical injuries, it was how people started acting around me like I'd become a completely different person. Coworkers who used to joke around and invite me to happy hour suddenly went quiet when I walked into the break room. My neighbor Jake, who I'd known for 2 years and borrowed tools from regularly, started crossing the street when he saw me coming home from work. Even the barista at my usual coffee shop stopped making small talk and just handed me my order with nervous eyes. My girlfriend Lisa started acting the strangest of all. She'd flinch when I reached for her hand, ask me why I seemed so angry and aggressive all the time. I wasn't angry, or at least I didn't think I was, but she kept insisting my whole personality had changed over the past few months. Then I started losing chunks of time, specifically Friday nights. I'd remember getting home from work around 6, maybe grabbing a beer from the fridge and turning on Netflix, then suddenly it would be Sunday morning and I'd wake up completely exhausted with fresh injuries I couldn't account for. Lisa said I'd been going out every Friday night since January, telling her I was meeting friends downtown and coming home after midnight smelling like sweat and sometimes blood, but I had absolutely no memory of leaving our apartment or talking to anyone. She showed me text messages I'd apparently sent her during these mysterious Friday nights, but I didn't recognize the typing style at all. Out with the guys. Don't wait up. Running late tonight. Handle dinner yourself. I never talked to Lisa like that, and I definitely didn't have any guys I regularly hung out with. Work got even stranger when my supervisor Marcus pulled me aside last Tuesday. He asked if everything was okay at home, said I seemed different lately. More confident during meetings, but also more hostile and unpredictable. Other people in the office had mentioned it too. Then I found something that made no sense. A gym membership card in my wallet for a place called Iron Temple across town. Premium membership fully paid through December, but I'd never been there in my life and had no memory of signing up. I called the gym pretending to check my account details. The receptionist immediately recognized my voice and said she'd see me Friday night as usual. She asked if I was bringing any new guys to the group this week and mentioned something about the basement level. I hung up feeling completely disturbed and confused. That's when I decided I had to follow myself and figure out what was happening. Friday night, I set up a hidden camera in our living room and pretended to go to bed early. Around 11, I watched myself get up, get dressed in clothes I didn't recognize, and leave the apartment with a blank expression that looked nothing like me. I drove to Iron Temple and watched from across the street as dozens of men filed into the building through a side entrance. They all moved with the same controlled aggression I'd apparently developed, and they all looked like they could kill someone with their bare hands. I waited until the building went completely quiet, then tried the side door. It was unlocked, leading down a concrete staircase to a basement I never knew existed. I could hear voices echoing and the sound of people moving around, but couldn't make out specific words. I crept down the stairs and peered around the corner, and that's when I finally saw exactly what I'd been doing every Friday night for the past 3 months. I stumble backward, my mouth hanging open in disbelief. The basement of Iron Temple is a bloodbath arena. 2 men circle each other in a crude ring marked with duct tape on the concrete floor, their faces already pulped and bleeding. Around them, dozens of men cheer and shout, waving cash in the air as bets change hands. The air reeks of sweat, blood, and something chemical I can't place. But what stops my heart isn't the brutality of the fight happening now, it's the whiteboard propped against the far wall. Names are listed in a tournament bracket, and at the top, circled in red, marker with 3 stars beside it, champion, David, my name. I press myself deeper into the shadows as I scan the crowd. These aren't random street fighters. I recognize the manager from the bank across from my office. There's the guy who runs the coffee shop near our apartment. Even Randy from work is here, shouting encouragement at the fighters. All these normal people living secret violent lives. David, a voice cuts through the noise. Where you been, man? You're up next against Mitchell. I freeze as heads turn in my direction. From the opposite side of the basement, a figure detaches from the crowd and begins walking toward the voice that called my name. It's me, or something wearing my face. He moves with a confidence I've never felt, shoulders squared, head high. There's a slight smile on his lips as he rolls his neck, already wrapping his hands with athletic tape. Then he stops, his head turns, eyes scanning the shadows where I'm hiding. Our gazes lock, and I feel a jolt of recognition pass between us. His expression hardens, eyes narrowing. He knows I'm here. I'm watching him, and he's not happy about it. I don't wait to see what happens next. I turn and bolt up the concrete stairs, taking them 2 at a time, heart hammering against my ribs. Behind me, I hear shouting, but I don't look back. I burst through the side door into the cool night air and sprint to my car, fumbling with the keys before finally getting the engine started. The drive home is a blur. I keep checking the rearview mirror, convinced I'll see myself following me. My hands shake so badly on the steering wheel that I nearly sideswipe a parked car. None of this makes sense. How can I be in 2 places at once? How can I be living a life I have no memory of? When I pull into our apartment complex, I sit in the car for several minutes, trying to compose myself. I need to act normal. I need time to figure this out. Lisa is on the couch when I walk in, still dressed in her work clothes, a glass of wine in her hand. She looks up, surprised. You're home early, she says, checking her watch. It's only midnight. Everything okay? I nod, trying to keep my face neutral despite the panic still coursing through me. Yeah, just tired. Didn't feel like staying out. Her eyes narrow slightly. That's unusual for you. At least on Fridays. I force a smile. Thought I'd mix it up. She studies me for a moment longer before setting down her wine. You look pale. Are you sure you're all right? Just a headache. I lie, moving toward the bathroom. Gonna take a shower and crash. Under the hot water, I examine my body. No fresh bruises tonight, but plenty of healing ones from previous Fridays. My knuckles are calloused in a way they never were before, the skin thickened from repeated impact. Fighter's hands. After Lisa falls asleep, I slip out to the living room with my laptop. I search underground fight clubs, split personality, memory loss, and dissociative identity disorder. The results are a mix of movie references, medical journals, and conspiracy theories. Nothing that explains how I could physically be in two places at once. My phone buzzes with a text message at 2:17 a.m. Unknown number. We saw you tonight. Both of you. We need to talk. My hands shake as I delete the message. I go to the hidden camera I set up earlier and erase the footage of myself leaving the apartment. Whatever is happening, I don't want evidence of it sitting around. When I finally crawl into bed beside Lisa, sleep refuses to come. Instead, my mind fills with flashes of memories that don't feel like mine. A fist connecting with someone's jaw, the satisfying crunch of bone, the roar of a crowd chanting my name, the taste of blood in my mouth, the rush of victory as someone counts cash into my hand. I must drift off eventually because I wake with a start at 7:30 a.m. Lisa is already up, making coffee in the kitchen. I lift my hand to rub my eyes and freeze. My knuckles are split and crusted with blood-fresh injuries I didn't have when I went to bed. There's a text message on my phone from the same unknown number. You can't hide from yourself forever. Read. I stare at my bloody hands, reality crashing down around me. Whatever is happening, whatever I've become, it's not just on Friday nights anymore, and it's getting worse. Monday morning hits me like a truck. I barely slept, spending most of the night staring at my bedroom ceiling, replaying what I saw at Iron Temple. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw myself, that other me, staring back from across the basement. When I drag myself into work, the first person I see is Marcus. He's usually pretty casual with me, but today something's different. He straightens up when he sees me, almost like he's standing at attention. "Morning, David," he says, his voice oddly formal. "How was your weekend?" "Fine," I mumble, sliding past him to my desk. He follows me, hovering nearby. "Listen, about that server issue from Friday. I went ahead and took care of it. Hope that's okay." I blink at him. "You did my work for me? Just thought you might have other things on your mind." His eyes dart away when I look directly at him. "No big deal." As I settle in, I notice other strange behaviors. The break room goes silent when I walk in to get coffee. 3 coworkers who were laughing suddenly find their phones fascinating. One guy actually takes his coffee and leaves. I catch whispered fragments as I pour mine. Completely lost it on Mitchell. 50 stitches, man. Don't make eye contact. I return to my desk, hands shaking slightly. Whatever my other self did on Friday, it's affecting my work life now. At lunch, I decide to check my car. Something tells me I might find answers there. In the parking lot, I pop the trunk and freeze. There's a black gym bag I've never seen before tucked in the corner. I glance around to make sure no one's watching, then unzip it. Inside are hand wraps speckled with dried blood, a professional-grade mouthguard molded to fit teeth that are apparently mine, and my stomach drops, rolls of cash secured with rubber bands. I count quickly. $5,000. I slam the trunk shut, heart racing. I'm carrying around evidence of something illegal, something violent, and I have no memory of it. When I get home that evening, Lisa is waiting for me with her arms crossed. "Who's Dominic?" she asks without preamble. The name means nothing to me. I don't know any Dominic. "Really? Because he's called here 3 times in the past 2 days asking for you. Says it's about the next shipment." Her eyes narrow. "And when I told him you weren't home, he said, 'Tell him to answer his fucking burner or I'll find him myself.'" I sit down heavily on our couch. "Lisa, I swear I don't know what he's talking about. Just like you don't know why you've been coming home with bruises for months, or why you disappear every Friday night." Her voice cracks slightly. "David, what are you involved in? Is it drugs?" "No." I stop, remembering the cash in my trunk. What if it is drugs? What if my other self is dealing? I need some time to figure this out. That night, I make a decision. I need to follow myself, my other self, and see what he does. I need to understand who I become when I'm not me. Tuesday after work, I park across from our apartment and wait. At 7:30, I watch myself leave the building. It's surreal, like watching security footage, except I'm seeing it live. I walks with purpose, shoulders squared, head up. He hails a cab, and I follow in my car. We end up at a diner on the edge of town. My other self meets a heavy-set man with a shaved head. They talk for 20 minutes, then shake hands. Money changes hands. I take photos with my phone from the car. Wednesday, same routine. This time it's a meeting behind a convenience store with 2 guys who look like college athletes. Thursday is the one that scares me most. I follow myself to a medical building that should be closed for the night. A tall man with a leather jacket lets my other self in. Through a window, I see them arguing. The man, Dominic, I assume produces a syringe. My other self rolls up his sleeve, and Dominic injects him with something. I feel sick watching it. Whatever that substance is, it's in my body right now. Friday morning, I wake up with no memory of Thursday night after 6 p.m. The pattern continues. At work, Randy calls me into his office. I'm expecting to be fired for my declining performance, but instead, he smiles broadly. "David, just wanted to let you know that promotion we discussed is yours. Senior Systems Administrator, effective next month." I stare at him, confused. "We discussed a promotion?" He laughs like I've made a joke. "Last Friday at Iron Temple. Don't tell me you were too wasted to remember. You made quite the impression on the board members." Board members? At the Underground Fight Club? Later that day, I notice 2 men I recognize from Iron Temple in our office lobby, talking to the receptionist. They glance my way, nod respectfully. Walking home, I run into Jake, my neighbor. He immediately steps back when he sees me, eyes widening. "Hey Jake," I say, trying to sound normal. "Haven't seen you around lately." "Yeah, well," he swallows hard. "After what happened at your place, I figured you wanted space." "What happened at my place?" His face pales. "Are you serious? The night you grabbed me by the throat and said if I ever knocked on your door again, you'd throw me off the balcony?" I feel sick. "Jake, I don't remember that. I'm sorry. You were different," he says quietly. "Your eyes were. I don't know. Not you." That night, I make my decision. I can't keep living like this, wondering what I'm doing, who I'm hurting. Tomorrow, I'll go to Iron Temple early. I'll wait for my other self to arrive. It's time we had a conversation. I arrive at Iron Temple an hour before I know my other self will show up. The plan is simple. Get in, find information, and finally understand what's happening to me. The receptionist barely glances up when I enter, just waves me through with a casual, "Hey, David." That sends chills down my spine. How often do I come here that she doesn't even need to check my membership? The main gym is mostly empty this late. A few dedicated lifters grunt under heavy weights, but no one pays attention to me as I slip toward the basement door. My hand trembles on the handle before I push it open and descend the concrete stairs. The basement is transformed from Friday night. No crowd, no fighters, just a cavernous space with the duct-taped ring still visible on the floor. But what catches my eye is the door at the far end, unmarked, industrial looking, with a keypad lock. I try the handle. Locked, of course. I examine the keypad, wondering what code my other self might use. On a hunch, I try Lisa's birthday. Nothing. My birthday. Nothing. Then I try the day I first woke up with unexplained bruises, 3 months ago. The lock clicks open. Inside is a small office space that makes my blood run cold. Along one wall is medical equipment, IV stands, monitoring devices, and a refrigerator with a biohazard symbol. The opposite wall has filing cabinets and a desk with a computer. On the desk sits a ledger book, open to a page with my name at the top. I flip through it, my heart hammering against my ribs. It's a record of fights, dates, opponents, and payouts. According to this, I've earned just over $50,000 in the past 3 months. $50,000 fighting in an underground club that I have no memory of. A manila folder labeled David sits beside the ledger. Inside are medical charts, blood work results, and a series of photos showing me, or rather, my other self, with various injuries healing at accelerated rates. There's also a schedule of injections with chemical formulas I don't understand. You weren't supposed to find this place. I whirl around to find a tall man in a leather jacket blocking the doorway. Dominic, the man who I watched inject my other self with something. What the hell is going on? I demand, my voice shaking. What did you do to me? Dominic sighs, running a hand over his close-cropped hair. I didn't do anything to you that you didn't volunteer for. Well, the other you. What does that mean? How can there be another me? He steps inside, closing the door behind him. 3 months ago, you came to me with a problem. You were struggling financially. Your job was going nowhere, and you felt inadequate. You wanted to be stronger, more confident. I offered you a solution. A drug, I say, remembering the syringe. Not just any drug. It's experimental, designed to compartmentalize trauma in combat veterans. Creates a separate consciousness that activates under specific triggers. The combat personality handles the fighting, the violence, while the original personality stays protected from the psychological damage. I stare at him, trying to process what he's saying. You're telling me I have a split personality that I agreed to? Not exactly split, more like parallel. 2 versions of you existing simultaneously, taking turns at the controls. He gestures to the files. Your other self volunteered for the trial. He gets the money, the respect, the power. You get to keep your normal life without the psychological trauma of what he does. But I'm seeing him now. I followed him here. How is that possible if we're the same person? Dominic's expression shifts to concern. That's not supposed to happen. The personalities should never encounter each other. It could cause a psychological collapse. I grab the desk to steady myself. So what happens now? Now we need to get you out of here before the door opens again, and I find myself staring at myself. My other self freezes in the doorway, eyes narrowing as he takes in the scene. You shouldn't be here, I says in a voice that sounds like mine, but harder, colder. I need answers, I tell him. My other self looks at Dominic, who shrugs helplessly. Then he walks to the desk, grabs a notepad and pen, and writes something before sliding it to me. We can't speak directly to each other. It accelerates the breakdown. Write instead. I take the pen with shaking hands and write, what are you protecting me from? He takes the pad back, writes quickly, they're using us as guinea pigs. The drug does more than they say. It's addictive, permanent, and there are side effects they're not telling us about. I write, why did you agree to this? His response, to protect Lisa. They threatened her. Still are. I handle it so you don't have to. Before I can respond, the door swings open again. Lisa stands there, her eyes widening as she takes in the scene, the two of me, facing each other across the desk. Oh God, she whispers. This wasn't supposed to happen. I turn to her, betrayal washing over me in a cold wave. You knew? You've been part of this? It's not what you think, she says, stepping toward me. I've been working with Dominic to find a way to reverse what they did to you. My other self suddenly tenses, his posture changing as he moves to stand between me and Lisa. She's lying, he growls. She's been working with them from the beginning. Dominic moves quickly, pulling a syringe from his pocket. We need to stabilize him before. My other self moves with shocking speed, grabbing Dominic's wrist and twisting until the syringe clatters to the floor. No more drugs, he snarls. Something strange happens, then a sensation like my consciousness is splitting, fragmenting. I can feel what my other self feels. The surge of adrenaline, the protective rage, the heightened awareness of every potential threat in the room. For the first time, I'm experiencing both sides simultaneously. David, Lisa says, her voice gentle but frightened. You need to calm down, both of you. Which one of us are you talking to? We ask in unison, and the sound of our synchronized voices sends a chill through the room. Dominic backs away slowly. This is unprecedented. The personalities are merging. We feel a crushing pressure in our skull, like our brain is being squeezed from both sides. Memories flood in memories of fights I've won, of late night meetings with Dominic, of Lisa whispering to someone on the phone when she thought I was asleep. What's happening to me? I gasp, falling to my knees as the pressure intensifies. The drug was never meant to create a true split, Dominic explains, his voice seeming to come from far away. It was designed to create a compartmentalized personality that could be triggered and controlled. But you've broken the barrier between the two states. Through the pain, I look up at Lisa, whose face is a mask of guilt and fear. Why? I manage to ask, why would you do this to me? She kneels beside me, tears streaming down her face. I didn't have a choice. They said they'd kill you if I didn't help them. As blackness creeps into the edges of my vision, I feel my other self's consciousness pressing against mine, no longer separate but merging, combining into something new. The last thing I see before losing consciousness is Lisa reaching for me, her lips forming words I can't hear as the room spins away into darkness. I wake up to the steady beep of a heart monitor and the antiseptic smell of hospital disinfectant. My head feels like it's been split open with an axe, thoughts swimming through a fog of medication. When I try to move, I discover my wrists are secured to the bed rails with padded restraints. He's awake, I hear Lisa say from somewhere to my left. I turn my head, wincing at the pain that shoots through my skull. Lisa sits in a chair beside the bed, dark circles under her eyes. Dominic stands by the window, arms crossed, watching me carefully. What happened? My voice comes out raspy, like I haven't used it in days. You collapsed at Iron Temple, Dominic explains, approaching the bed. The personalities tried to merge too quickly. Your brain couldn't handle the neural overload. I test the restraints again. Why am I tied down? Lisa leans forward, placing her hand near mine, but not touching. You've been violent during episodes. The doctors thought it was safer this way. Memories begin filtering back fragments from both sides of my consciousness. The basement at Iron Temple, the medical equipment, the ledger showing $50,000 in fighting earnings, the confrontation between my two selves. How long have I been here? 3 days, Lisa says. You've been drifting in and out of consciousness. Dominic pulls up a chair on the other side of the bed. I think it's time you understood everything, David. The complete truth. I'm listening, I say, though part of me already knows what's coming. 6 months ago, you volunteered for a military experiment. He begins. A new treatment for combat veterans with PTSD. The drug was designed to create a compartmentalized personality that could contain traumatic memories, allowing soldiers to function normally in civilian life. But I'm not a veteran, I say. Lisa and Dominic exchange glances. You were the control subject, Lisa explains softly. They needed to test the drug on civilians to see if it could work as a preventative measure for soldiers before deployment. The drug creates a second consciousness, Dominic continues. One that activates under specific triggers in your case. Physical confrontation. Your other self was designed to handle violence and stress while protecting your primary consciousness from psychological trauma. I close my eyes as memories from my other self flood in. The fights, the adrenaline, the feeling of power when opponents fell before me, the money changing hands, the respect in men's eyes when I walked into a room. It wasn't supposed to be permanent, Lisa adds. Just a 3-month trial, but something went wrong. The personalities began switching unpredictably, Dominic says. The barriers between them started breaking down. That's why you began seeing your other self. The drug was failing. I look at Lisa, studying her face for any sign of deception. You knew about this the whole time? She nods, tears welling in her eyes. They approached me first, said they needed my help to monitor you during the trial. I didn't know. I didn't understand what it would do to you. But even as she speaks, I access memories from my other self, memories of Lisa meeting with Dominic late at night, of hushed phone calls when she thought I was asleep, of her suggesting I take the vitamin supplements that triggered the first personality split. You manipulated me into joining the program, I say, the realization settling like ice in my stomach. Lisa's face crumples. They threatened to hurt you if I didn't cooperate. I thought I was protecting you. Dominic shifts uncomfortably. The military contract was worth billions. The pressure to produce results was intense. I turn away from them both, staring at the ceiling as I process everything. The drug, the fighting, the money, the lies. Every Friday night lost to violence. Every relationship damaged by my inexplicable behavior. I want to see a doctor, I say finally. A real doctor, not one of your military contractors. That's not possible right now, Dominic says. You're still unstable. The drug is still active in your system. I feel something stirring inside me, not the separate consciousness of before, but something integrated, something that combines the strength of my other self with my own determination. Untie me, I say quietly. David, we can't, Lisa begins. Untie me now, or I start screaming about illegal human experimentation to every nurse and doctor who walks through that door. Dominic and Lisa exchange another look before he sighs and reaches for the restraints. You need to understand your situation. There's no going back to who you were before. The drug has permanently altered your neural pathways. As soon as my hands are free, I sit up, ignoring the dizziness that threatens to overwhelm me. When's the next shift change? What? Lisa asks. Hospital shifts. When do they change? Around 7, she says automatically, then realizes what I'm planning. David, you can't leave. You need medical supervision. I check the clock on the wall. I have 40 minutes. I need clothes, I say, swinging my legs over the side of the bed. Dominic blocks my path. This is a mistake. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in months. I tell him. I remember everything now, both sides. I know what you've been doing at Iron Temple. I know about the illegal testing. I know about the fighters you've been experimenting on without their knowledge. His expression hardens. Then you know how dangerous this situation is for everyone involved. I stand up, steadying myself against the bed. Get out of my way. Something in my voice, perhaps the echo of my other self's authority, makes him step aside. I dress quickly in clothes Lisa reluctantly provides from a small duffel bag. By the time the shift change begins, I'm walking out the hospital's side entrance, moving with purpose despite the lingering pain in my head. I take a cab directly to Iron Temple. The place is nearly empty at this hour, just a few dedicated lifters who barely glance up as I make my way to the basement door. I know exactly where I'm going now, no longer a stranger to my own life. In the office behind the keypad door, I gather everything: the drug vials from the refrigerator, the ledger with fighter names and payouts, the medical records documenting the experiments. I find a USB drive and download files from the computer, including email exchanges between Dominic and military contractors discussing acceptable casualty rates for the trial. I'm about to leave when I hear footsteps on the stairs. I grab a syringe from the medical cabinet and position myself beside the door. 3 men enter, fighters I recognize from my other self's memories. They stop short when they see me. David? One asks cautiously. Which one are you? Both, I answer. And I know you're all part of this experiment too. Some willingly, some not. The tallest one steps forward. Dominic called. Said you'd probably come here. Then you know what I'm doing, I say. I'm shutting this down. You can't, another says. The money isn't worth what they're doing to us. I finish. Look at yourselves. How many of you have lost time? Found injuries you can't explain? Hurt people you care about? Their expressions tell me everything I need to know. Help me, I say, or get out of my way. To my surprise, they step aside. I spend the next hour setting up a dead drop of evidence for a journalist whose name I remember from my other self's research. Then I call Dominic from a burner phone. I want a confession, I tell him when he answers. About everything. The military contract, the human experimentation, the fighters who died during trials. You're making a mistake, he says. These people will bury you. Maybe. I agree. But first I'm going to expose them. I record everything, his reluctant admission about the program's true nature, the side effects they concealed, the deaths they covered up. When I'm done, I add it to the evidence package and arrange for anonymous delivery to media outlets and federal authorities. My phone rings as I'm leaving Iron Temple for the last time. David. It's Marcus, my supervisor from work. We need to talk. I don't think I still have a job, I say. This isn't about your job. His voice is different, more authoritative than I've ever heard it. I'm with the FBI. I've been investigating Iron Temple and Dominic's operation for the past year. I laugh bitterly. Of course you are. Meet me at the coffee shop near your office, he says. I can protect you if you cooperate. 6 months later, I sit across from a therapist in a quiet office, far from the city where my life fell apart. The military contractors behind the experiment have been indicted. Dominic is cooperating with federal prosecutors in exchange for leniency. Lisa is gone. I haven't spoken to her since that day in the hospital. How are you managing the integration? Dr. Winters asks, watching me carefully. Better, I say. The memories don't feel like they belong to different people anymore, just different parts of myself. And the anger, the fighting impulses? I flex my hands, examining the scars across my knuckles. They're still there, but I control them now. Not the other way around. She nods, making a note in her file. That's progress, David. Real progress. As I leave her office, I catch my reflection in a window. For the first time in months, I recognize the man looking back at me, not two separate selves fighting for control, but one person, scarred but whole, finally facing the truth about who I am and what was done to me. I am not the champion of Iron Temple anymore. I am not the victim of a military experiment. I am simply myself, all of myself, and that will have to be enough.